Welcome to this, our latest podcast from TBS. The last 3 days we've had a very special visitor with us, Dr. Bill Webster from the University of Greater Manchester, and I'm sure you'd all like to know what he's been doing here and a little bit about who he is. So I'll hand over to Dr. Bill and ask him, who are you? And tell us a little bit about your background.
Thank you very much, Darren. It's a very good question. Who am I? Firstly, may I say what an absolute pleasure it's been over the last 3 days I've spent with you. So I work at the University of Greater Manchester, where I'm the Group Vice President, which is a role I've taken on recently and reflects the size of the university's group now that covers not simply the university, but also schools, a big further education college, a private training provider. So we have a wide range of educational facilities like that. I also currently oversee a range of the services within the university, and I act as the Deputy to the Vice Chancellor. So it's a wide-ranging remit I currently have got.
What are your first impressions about the school? The students, the people you've met, the facilities?
I think it's fair to say that arriving into Istanbul, the impression from the moment I arrived was a venue of high technology and efficiency. I was incredibly impressed at the airport, taking the journey through to this beautiful campus you have here. Absolutely the first thing that hits you when you come into this school is the warmth of the reception. Everybody that I met is smiling. Everyone I've met has been so caring, and look, I have to say, if I eat anymore, you're not going to run hungry at this school. I've been very well looked after, and the students, I've had the pleasure of doing some work with them this morning. They are an absolute delight. There's some extremely bright students, very, very engaged, and frankly, an absolute credit to this institution.
Thank you for that. That's really appreciated. You know, we live in changing times. We've been around enough to see enough change, but I'm sure in the next few decades the change will be even more rapid, even more significant. And I'd like to ask you, as a higher education specialist, what do you think the challenges are for a school, children aged 16 and above, right through to the age of 21 when they finish with you? What are the challenges in curriculum innovation? What should we be focusing on? What should we be nurturing within the young people?
It's a really challenging question. It's a really good question. And I think the starting point with it is to what you said, we are in an extremely changeable world at the moment. Things are moving at a pace that even just a few years ago wouldn't have seemed possible, with the rise of technology, the rise of artificial intelligence, etc. And I think what that tells us is throughout history we've been used to change, but now the speed of change appears to be accelerating. You can't guess what it is that they're going to need to know in technical terms. Obviously underpinning knowledge, obviously having the basis in key core subjects is essential. If you are not literate and you are not numerate, you don't get to start base. But what's really important as young people, as they develop and get older, is equipping them with the tools to cope with the change. So rather than the specific subjects, recognizing that they were going to need specific soft skills, as they call them, to be very adaptable and responsive to the changes that are happening. And I think the things that underpin that are learning to learn, really understanding how the best way of keeping up and learning in the modern world, being able to communicate really effectively, being able to be resilient to the change, and recognizing that in the future, many of these young people today will have multiple careers, multiple changes of jobs, and things that we don't even know now we will be doing in the future, definitely. I think increasingly with the role of AI, understanding how to harness that technology and how to utilize it, and the human skills which won't go away, that would be particularly around working in teams, making sure that you can be responsive to the needs of the future world, whether that in industry, be that in the charitable sector, be it in government. We're all going to need to see those changes come through. And I believe for many parts of curriculum across, I'm not just talking about this school, we're still in a slightly rigid approach to that flexibility, and perhaps finding new ways of enabling young people to have that experience. Perhaps that's the next step.
Well, thank you. I'm sure we'll take on those nuggets of wisdom and start to apply them. But I'd just like to finalise by really thanking you, because I know your schedule is incredibly busy back in Greater Manchester. So I'd really like to thank you on behalf of all the community for coming and joining us for the 3 days. Thank you very much.
It genuinely has been my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.